Doomlings. This is a game that is not out yet. The publisher asked me if I wanted to take an early look. The game will be on Kickstarter at some point later this spring, and the game seemed fun, so I decided, sure, why not? In this sense, this is a preview, meaning it's a video about a game that is not out yet, but it is not a paid preview. It is a review because I'm simply gonna tell you about, what I think about the game after I played it many, many times with my daughters. My preview copy comes in this tiny adorable box that the publisher asked me not to show you because this way you don't get confused, because the final game will have a much bigger box. But I do hope that they give you the option of the tiny box, because it's just what you need. It's nice and full, no air in it, and it's just very portable, and I love it. I hope there will be the tiny box option or stretch goal. Doomlings, it's a card game that is simple enough that you can play it with your kids, and that's actually the people I played it with. I played it with my daughter Luisa, who is 8 and who will join us in the conclusions of this video. I played it also with my daughter Amelia, who is now 10, but really it is Luisa who is the big fan of Doomlings. In this game, we see the evolution of life on a planet from the birth of life until the destruction of the planet. It's a card game, plays from 2 to 6 players, but again, I only played it with 2 and with 3, either with Luisa alone or with Luisa and Amelia. We have a deck of age cards. You always have the card called the Birth of Life put on top every time, and then we have 12 other cards. Of these 12, 9 are regular age cards, such as the ones that you see here. And then 3 of those that go in the age deck are catastrophe. And you shuffle the deck in a way that there is a catastrophe approximately every 4 cards, more or less, and there is a catastrophe in one of the 4 bottom cards. This is important because when the third and last catastrophe is revealed, the game is over. You resolve the world's end effect. All catastrophe have 1, but you only look at it when you reveal it as the third catastrophe. At that point, the game is over and the player with the most points wins the game. Scoring can be a little bit elaborate because you have many cards with many end of the game effects. But that's how it works. By the way, as you can see, there are a lot more cards than you need to prepare your basic age deck, so that gives a lot of variety there. However, I've also been told that the copy that you see here contains the base set plus several expansions, and so not every card that you see here will necessarily end up being in the final main game, so you just make sure. In case you fall in love with a card or the other, just, double check to see if it's going to be in the base set or in an expansion. Each player also receives a gene pool card, and you place it in front of you with the number 5 facing up this way, and that is the number of cards that you will have in your hand at the end of your turn. There's an action called stabilize, which means basically reconcile your hand, whatever the size, with the number on your gene pool. If I have more than 5 cards, I discard down to 5. If I have fewer, then I draw until I get to 5. And then maybe game effects that increase my gene pool. Catastrophes very often will reduce your gene pool, and so you will likely have smaller hands of cards as the game progresses, but everybody starts with 5. You also get 5 cards at the beginning of the game, and those are trait cards. Then the idea is that at the beginning of each round you have a different age, so you will flip the top card there, you will resolve the effect. The Birth of Life doesn't really do anything, so let's see what the next one is. Suppose we're playing the second round. So now for this round, players cannot play red traits. These cards are called traits. You have in the deck there are green, red, although they look more like orange, at least in the prototype here, purple and blue, plus your gray, which is colorless. There you go. As you can see, all these cards have these adorable little balls that do different things, that represent different stages of the evolution. And there's humor, they're cute, they're adorable. Look at the martial arts one, just to give you a sense of how cute they look. Meanwhile, you can also pause if you so desire and get a sense of the effects that they come with. They're really, really cute and adorable. And some have some really cute, it's really fun humor things. There's one about hyper-intelligence, and the caption says, 2 + 2 = chair. And that's what you get with hyper-intelligence. Oh, look at this guy. So, trait cards. Kidney. The more you have, the more they score, and each kidney has a different hat, and that's just a nice little touch there. So, trait cards. Each turn, you reveal a new card that will determine a unique rule that takes place in that turn, and the players have to follow. If it's a catastrophe, you also resolve what it says, unless, again, it's the last one, then you have the world's end effect. Flip the card face up. Sometimes it's an immediate effect, sometimes it's a standing circumstance that will last for the entire turn. Then each player will take a turn simply playing a trait from their hand. When you play a trait, it simply goes in front of you, just like that, in your trait pile. But really, you want to think of it as a trait tableau or display, because very often you want to see how many cards you have of a kind, the effects that they have. Some cards, for example, will have effects that will apply at the end of the game. Some cards are called dominant. You also have that start to remind you of that. Usually you can only have 2 dominant cards in your trait pile, unless there are effects that let you break that. The number in the bottom, yes, the number in the bottom left corner is the number of points that the card scores at the end of the game. So, for example, this card will score me 3 points plus whatever it is indicated here. You have cards that have a little, some affect your gene pool. So great point, a little points, but penalty there. Some, here's the great hyper-intelligence. Some cards have a small little cute, I love this one. Captures the mood some days of quarantine. Optimistic nihilism. Because it's nihilism, but it's optimistic. Some cards have a small a here, simply means action, and you do whatever it says there. Some cards don't have a number here because their value is variable. So, for example, Swarm, the value is equal to the number of Swarm traits in play, including this one. So, right now, this one is 1. If I have 2, they're 2 each. 3 is 3 each, and so on and so forth. The kidneys also work the same. Kidneys, the more you have, the more they're valuable. Some cards, they're really confusing. Why does this trait exist? Haha, because it's just a penalty. Because sometimes that's the challenge. You're stuck with a card that you don't want. Other times you put it there because then you use a game effects that lets somebody else get it. So you give it to somebody else. Or maybe some cards, to use a very good effect, you have to pay the cost by discarding one of your traits. So it's okay to get rid of this one. So lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of effects where you can mess with other people's trait pile, you can create synergies and things like that. But the idea again is just that simple. Each turn, reveal a card, resolving the effect, sometimes a catastrophe, often is not. Resolve the effect or take the effect into account for that round. Play a card, making sure you don't have more than 2 dominant traits, and then stabilize, that is, draw or discard cards until you have the number on your gene pool, that number of cards in your hand. And that's it, as simple as that. When we reach the 3rd catastrophe, we resolve the world's end effect, which can be sometimes pretty dramatic, pretty drastic, and then we count points. Again, points from simply the big numbers we see here, and points from effects indicated on the cards. At that point, the player with the highest score wins the game. So Doomlings is definitely a game that you can play with children because of the humor of the cards, because of the rules that are very simple. But with one warning, there is a card in here called sexual cannibalism, and I can see how some families may not want to expose their children to that. So if that is your case, if you don't want them to know what sexual cannibalism is, then you simply remove the card from the deck. They never have to know it, and you still have enough cards to play the game.
What is sexual cannibalism?
It's a disease of the liver. So, Doomlings, what do you think about the game?
It's pretty good. I like how some cards don't do anything. Some of them don't do anything, just give you points. Some of them just give you penalties. But I see how that balances out. So not every card is really good. Some just give you points. Some are bad. Some are good.
Yeah, actually, I also like that. At the beginning, I was like, but this brings too much luck. I want every card to have something good or something bad. Some cards are objectively better, and some cards are always just bad. But then there are so many things that you can do. I have a bad card, but then I'll give it to you. I have an awesome card, but you take it from me. So there are just so many effects that allow you to manipulate these cards. Then to me, the fact that some cards are actually better and some cards are actually worse actually works pretty well, and that doesn't happen very often in games.
Because if you have a card that you really don't like, then you can find an action to give it to your opponent, and then you don't have it anymore, and you don't need it.
Yeah, or I have an awesome card, and I can't wait to play it, but then you force me to discard my deck, my hand.
Or I steal it from you and play it myself.
Because the thing, I have this awesome card.
So that makes it really balanced. If you have something really bad, you can give it to someone else. If you have something really good, it's probably it can be taken from you.
Yes, if I play too early, I'm pretty much sure that it won't be there until the end of the game, that somebody will take it from me.
But even if it's in your hand, it's also not safe. There are multiple cards that make you discard your hand, or catastrophes.
Correct, but I know if I make a nice set of kidneys with all those delectable heads, or a nice set of swarms, I know you're gonna mess them up for me, because you don't want me to get 16 points if I have 4 of those.
But you did let me get three kidneys.
Yeah, if I'm not good at the game, it's not my fault. But I didn't want it to get them. I just couldn't figure it out. And then, how do you like the fact that you have some turns? Also, there's more randomness in a sense with the effects of the ages. Catastrophe, or you cannot play these traits. You get extra stuff from the cards in the center.
I kind of like how you aren't exactly sure what's going to happen next. You cannot plan enough ahead because there's going to be something happening. You can't plan the whole game ahead, so you got to sometimes change things.
Yep.
And sometimes that actually works well.
Yeah, because you have to adapt to the situation that changes constantly.
And that is actually pretty fun because you can find really fun and cool ways to adapt to the catastrophes.
Yeah, and that's also to me remarkable because again, usually I don't like games with so much chaos, so much randomness. And yet here it works because I still get a sense that I choose which card to play, how to mess up with you. And so I still have choices that feel relevant even though there's just so much random stuff happening.
Yeah, even though every turn you have no idea what's going to happen next, it also makes it so something can be good and something can be bad. The cards sometimes are okay, but also bad. You do not know what's going to happen next. Sometimes it's not good, but it is fun to adapt to the ways of this.
Yeah, and basically it has things that I don't often like in games, such as unbalanced cards and a lot of randomness, and yet they come together well and they make a game that is really, really fun, really enjoyable. I mean, we've been playing it every day, multiple times a day since we got it. You win disturbingly often, and maybe that's part of why you like it. No, I think you just really like the challenge of Doomlings. So, any final parting words for our friends that may be considering ordering it on Kickstarter or buying it later?
First, when I knew what the first card was, Birth of Life, I thought it was kind of annoying since you always know what the first card is. But actually, it's really balanced that way. You can get a really good card in first, and then it starts getting bad. Things start going crazy. But first, you have one round where the card does nothing. It just is there.
Yeah, just a reliable beginning. But in general, what do you think about the game?
It's really good. I also like the little funny things on the cards.
Yeah, I think those illustrations really enhance the experience.
And the things that say, like on the intelligence.
That's your favorite one.
It's really funny.
Yeah, 4 plus 4 equals
Chair.
chair.
Which is very funny. I also like how there are different cards that are that you can use in rounds that would be more powerful. Like sometimes there's a catastrophe.
I see.
There's a card that is what's the card in the deck? I don't remember exactly.
I mean, the idea is that the usefulness changes
Yeah.
depending on situation, so you also have to time it well. Excellent. Well, thank you, Luisa, for joining me today, and thank you, friends, for watching our video about Doomlings. It's a game that we really, really like. Fist bump. Thank you for watching.